Why many students think and say physics is difficult? When I asked this question to Dr. Aditi Dutta, she told me that students find physics difficult because they have to contend with different representations such as experiments, formulas, calculations, graphs, and conceptual explanations at the same time. But when physics is learned through a practical approach, it's not at all difficult. Let's simplify physics with Dr. Aditi Datta, who has an inexhaustible ocean of knowledge. Dr. Aditi has a vast experience of more than 40 years and in the field of teaching physics. And in today's video with Edu Talks, she is guiding students on Class 12 Physics exams. Let's get started. Good morning, Dr. Aditi. Thank you so much for accepting our invitation and joining us on Edu Talks today.
Thank you, Devanshi, for calling me, and I got a scope to speak a little bit to everyone who will be listening. I'm thankful to you for that, Devanshi.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure. And with 40 years of experience in this field, I'm sure that, I'm sitting in front of an ocean and I have so many things to absorb from that. And same for the students. So, ma'am, quickly we will start with the questions related to 12th physics exams. My
Yeah.
very first question to you is like, what is happening in the this phase when they are preparing for their final exams? So, how it goes in terms of preparation?
See, preparation actually should start from the beginning. And when you start late, there will be a lot of confusion, anxiety, and everything. So they are overwhelmed. I'm talking about there are students who are very diligent, they have done. There are students who leave it for the last minute. So we have varied this thing. So there is many things. So I tell them at the end what they should do. They have to write sample questions and get it corrected by some teachers, because my experience tell them many of them, they know the subject, but they score less because they don't have the your writing skill, the presentation skill. So I give more importance to that, because this, with my experience, I find that they're studying well, they know everything, but they don't know how to write the exam.
True. So, ma'am, like I have many other questions also, but before that,
Hmm.
I'd be really glad if you could help the students in taking, overview of the physics curriculum, like what all chapters are there and what all difficult parts are there in that chapters and how they can solve those questions.
See, always when I teach, I take a holistic approach. I tell them physics is nothing that is not associated with your everyday life. It's all around you, right? So their syllabus starts with electrostatics, then goes to current, electricity, electromagnetism, light, and then your the modern physics like your photoelectric effect, isn't it? Then a little bit of atomic nuclear physics, and nowadays a little bit of your electronics, not much, because they have reduced the syllabus. So I always try to tell them, connect with your surroundings. Electrostatics, current, electricity is all around. We cannot leave them without that, right? Isn't it? And
True.
most important, whole our civilization started depends on your electromagnetic induction, Faraday's laws. The moment we started generating the electricity, the civilization changed. Actually, we have to connect the students with that, isn't it? If they understand that, why? Because that question comes to the students: why do you learn physics? The apple is falling down or going up, it doesn't matter to me. I have heard this question from one of my students. So I
Yes.
tell them, no. The logic is that you know whenever you throw, it's coming back, right? And that's the logic, that's the natural forces, and we live in the nature, we have to connect with the nature, right? So physics, whatever we do, it's the everything around us, what is happening. And I always tell them also, what you are studying may change tomorrow if you invent something else, because people are now, still now we are with this E is equal to mc square with relativity theory, and we know that c, that the speed of light is the maximum we can achieve. But people are on research to show that there are particles which can move faster than the light. So if they can prove it, we have to rewrite our physics. So you have to have a very open mind when you are learning science. So I always tell them and what I feel, in our curriculums we give less importance to the practicals. Physics has to be learned with a lot of practicals actually, and connecting with the things around you.
That's what I
So
wanted to know from you, ma'am. That as you said that they don't find so many practicality in the real life when it comes to physics. Is that the reason most of the students they find it very difficult subject to learn?
yeah, that's another point, because we never connect. We just say you have to learn it, right? And you do it right from your the mechanics portion, which they do it in 11th, right? That is the basic thing, the mechanics, but how we work, the forces around us, we are doing every day, right? So I tell them that when you go for walking, when you go for cycling, when you go for swimming, you just observe and internalize the forces you are encountered, right? And they do it, they do understand. And when you go to thermal physics, I tell them go to the kitchen and see the motors, so many appliances, right? We are dependent on it. Our life goes on it. So don't think physics is something very alien. And mathematics part you have to do.
Right. So,
That is
ma'am,
very
you
different.
associated it so many real life examples, but I feel that is it the way it is being taught in school also? Because what my observation says that you just open the book, you see the chapters, you start teaching. I'm not sure like how much practical life examples are given to the students
That's
there.
the sad part of it. That's the sad part of it actually, because in our schools nowadays there is a tendency to finish the syllabus and do the your only in the textbook. But I tell you, NCERT doesn't tell that. NCERT has a teacher's book where you have to fill all the gaps. And my experience till many school doesn't know even that there's a teacher's handbook is there, where you can find it out. You have to fill the gaps.
So, ma'am, when it comes
So
to subjects like, yeah, sorry, please continue.
yeah, that's the main thing I found, that we have a gap in learning. We don't instill the love of the subject, but there is a fear. So people are so scared of maths and physics. They think it's the hardest. It's not actually. The moment you start enjoying, the marks will come.
So I totally agree with this because I have students and I have seen them saying, I hate maths, I hate physics. So this hate word is associated with the subjects. So many time I think that is it because they are not scoring well? Is it because they are not finding interest in their subject or they don't have the aptitude? What makes subjects lovable or they feel like we hate it?
I'll tell you one thing in this. Aptitude may be less because everyone may not be good. But do you think everybody has to get 99 in maths or physics? No. If they get average 60, for average student, that's enough, right? I remember one incident. One girl came to me with crying. I think he was scolded in the school that she was scoring very low in mathematics. She was not able to pass. She said, I'm very bad, ma'am. I said, you are not bad. Only thing you don't love the subject, you are not teaching it proper, learning it properly. So I don't take that you are bad or good. Everyone has the same potential. And that the word changed her. And in 2 years, she was getting 30, she scored 70.
That's wow,
So,
fantastic.
so you have to instill the love for the subject. And one important thing is that self realization and confidence building. The teacher has to build the confidence. So that's very, very important. If you have the confidence, and I tell them, you know what you don't know also. That makes you overall that you can choose what I can answer, what I am not. That's very important in scoring for exam.
So, ma'am, as you mentioned about marks and all, I always feel that subject and marks, they both go, side by side. So many times student is interested in subject, he is learning it well, everything is fine. But then when it comes to marks, it won't be visible. Then how will we see this?
See, when he loved the subject, he is studying well, do not score, I tell you, because he doesn't know, he or she doesn't know how to write the exam. They don't read the question carefully. In science, what if you don't read the question, if you know the subject and you are answering something else, we don't want a lengthy answer, to the point answer, right? And there they fail. And many a times I have seen my students, In physics especially, they don't write, when they're doing the numericals, they don't write the formula used. The first thing, you always write the formula you are used and then solve it. And you are not in CBSE, still you are not using your calculator. So show your working in a site and do it to score high, because CBSE gives marks for that.
Right.
So many of them want to do, they think time is not there and they want to actually do it quickly. And one important thing I always tell them, draw the leveled figure whenever you can. Then you don't have to write so much. Level diagram gives you the whole answer. So when we define for a particular thing, I'm telling you, many times in electrostatics, they ask, define dipole, say the dipole moment, and write the direction. So the best thing is to draw the diagram, show the direction properly, and write this is the definition. It saves your time and you score full.
So, yes, another question I have related to the score. Most of the time, when it's board exams, each and every more than a child, parents will have the expectations related to the marks. And in most of the cases, 90 plus, or maybe according to the child's potentials, 80 plus, 70 plus. How do you see this scoring system in connection to the learning of the subject?
See, with my 40 years of experience, I'm telling you, ultimately, these marks is only to get to a good colleges. We are so worried. After 10 years, nobody asks you for the marks you got in 12. It depends on how you are doing, how your achievement, and their self-confidence, and what you know, what you don't know matters. Am I right?
Absolutely.
Isn't it? So marks is for getting, and it's become nowadays a prestige issue also. My son is getting 95 years old, so we have to come out of that rat race, I think. So we have to have a holistic approach. And I find it's insane that people are getting 100 marks.
Why this marks and percentage are increasing day by day? I'm sure that when I was in 10th or 12th, scoring 80 plus was good enough. And that was like,
Yeah,
okay, maximum. And now like
maximum.
95, 99, 100 out of 100, as you said. So
Because our question system, marking system has changed. Due to a lot of one markers, it's very easy to go to your one markers. And earlier days, there was always a question of thinking type, 5 question, right? So that was the way you judge the child's understanding on those type of questions are not there anymore. So you, whatever you write, you score 100%.
so you mean chances are there that someone who would have scored 100 out of 100 would have lesser knowledge than the person who would have
Yeah,
scored
yeah,
70 or 80?
absolutely, absolutely. And it shows up later in life, not now.
So, is there about this education system or the approach that students or teachers have towards the subject?
We all together, whole society, the teachers, parents, society, everybody, the colleges for admission, right? We all are responsible for it. And I hope the new education policy will slowly, it won't be an abrupt, but I think that there will be a slow change. It's coming actually. I could see many people is going in that way, and I'm happy to see that change. It's slow,
Definitely.
it's coming.
Yeah. So, ma'am, when we talk about exams and all, if the student is smart, we say that, and he's scoring well and all, that's fine. But this is the time when the students, let's say, who are average or who are not that good with the subject, they would be struggling a lot because they might have pressure with one subject or more subjects. So, if we talk about physics particularly, and we just have very few days left now, so what tips or what suggestions or guidance would you like to give them?
See, today is 28th, and there is 5 days left for the exam, right? So I will say that don't try anything new now. What you have learned, revise it, isn't it? And clear your doubts so that you are confident about what you know. So don't do anything which is you have not touched for all these days. That's the one thing very important. Last moment, and you have to be tension free. That's very, very important. If you start something studying new now and you are not able to do, it will give you a lot of stress, right?
So any
That's
any
very important.
strategies with the revision that they can follow, that okay, these are the important things which they could include now?
Yeah, I always tell them do chapter wise, isn't it? And most important, I always tell them that is your visual this thing. It's a very visual technique. It's very important. So in physics, we need all this your because we it's not like mathematics, right? So we need the syllabus, your relation, the all the formulas, and it's difficult to remember. So I always tell them chapter wise what you have learned, you do a summary, read it nicely, paste it on your table, look at it, then close your eyes and try to remember them. And if you fall, you check it. This is a very, very important technique. If you practice it, you remember because a lot of remembrance is required. So if they do it chapter wise, they become more distinct. They remember your all the relations, the laws, the formulas they are going to use. So their
That's
confidence level increases. So I always
that.
advise my students to do that visual technique because our brain is like a computer. You can do close and open that page, right?
Yes, it is always like that for different students. Different techniques would work,
Yeah,
but when some,
it's but
yeah.
what I'm telling it's in general. And every student is unique, so their approach has to be different.
No, I definitely agree to your technique. When you have visuals in front of you, it will be there in your mind and it will be in your
Yes,
long-term memory. So you will not
yeah,
forget it.
yes.
Rather than just mugging up or just
No,
memorizing
the
it simply, it's
mugging up doesn't help. If you mug up when you are writing, if you just go blank, you won't be able to do anything.
right.
So,
Yes, so these things are really really important. And if let's come to the writing question paper. Once they get the question paper, what should be the procedure before they start writing the paper? Like how should they go through the paper and how should they frame or plan a strategy in their mind?
yeah. So, what I tell them when you take the paper, take a deep breath, cool yourself down, isn't it? Open the paper and read the question paper thoroughly for 5-6 minutes. Okay, and then nowadays since you have one markers, better you finish it first. But I don't tell them that you go serially. You do the one you are very confident that I know it, finish them first, and what you have doubt, do it at the later. That should be the strategy for writing exam. So that and bullet points and to the point answer will make your writing skill better, and time management will be better. Sometimes unnecessary lengthy answers children give because they don't read the question carefully. And there are smarter way of solving the problem numerical because you don't use the your calculator, right?
Right,
So I
definitely.
try to give them that practice always.
So, ma'am, if we come to writing the paper, and could you help us more with the time management, like how the paper pattern goes and how they should start and how much time they should allot for each and every question?
See here, the question pattern changes for CBSE all the time, right? So sometimes it repeats and sometimes no, and the way we see the same question can be asked in a different way. So the strategy is that they have to read the NCERT book. For CBSE final exam, they have to read the NCERT book carefully. All the question comes from NCERT book, maybe a little twisted here and there. Even the numerical problems, they can change the numbers, but same type of question comes. So I always tell them that. And time management is that by practicing. They have to practice some sample papers, then they will have their own way of dealing with it. Because there is no solution for all time management because everybody is different, right?
Right.
So they have to get it by solving the sample papers. They have to know where they are more comfortable, which they can do faster, which they can do later, and that way they will be able to manage their times. There is no pattern solved for all in this because we all are different, right?
Right. So everyone will have different approach towards it and different
Yeah,
things.
yeah.
And what are the general mistakes that students make while writing the paper?
In physics, what they do, what I found, sometimes when you ask, suppose I am asked a definition, we have a lot of definition in physics. So, and we are very bad at the physics people. We want it to be done in the same way. If you say Ohm's law, if you don't say in the constant temperature, you lose half mark. Okay, those things sometimes they miss. And another thing they miss when doing something, they forget to write the unit. They forget to give the level diagram. When you are solving and you have a diagram, you have to copy the diagram and show it. So many questions, they said, I've solved it.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't bother about the diagram and all. This is the common mistakes they do. They don't define the terms using. And CBSE is very particular about the steps. So they jumping steps also another common mistake
So they need to write it clearly, and whatever is needed, it should be there in the paper.
in the paper.
Yes. Ma'am, now we many times, when the student is scholar, it's fine for him. But the students who are really struggling a lot with the subjects, and when they score really, really less marks, so and at the end, they do think that still they have scope to make their career in physics.
Is possible sometimes. If they love the subject, there is a lot of change in them. I see students who say, I hate physics, they took chemistry, and after 1 year, they want to jump to the physics because they fall in love in first year. So
Okay.
it's there because it's very difficult for a child of 16, 17 years to decide their career at that time. And that's there comes our education, new education policy. I hope it allows them to jump after 1 or 2 years to take a different course, right?
Absolutely. Ma'am, I would love to hear about your journey, like how you fell in love with physics and how you started your career in this field.
See, for in our time, it was there was not much scope. I always wanted to be a teacher. So after finishing my MSc, I joined. At those days, I joined in a government college as a teacher. So there started my journey, and I had my teachers. Actually, they were handling me in doing many things, how to teach, how to correct my answer sheets, how to take the practical classes. I still remember that. So what I am is due to my teachers. And
And
it,
now you're
I,
giving
I,
back to the society also.
I hope I can give some. I try to. I try to, whoever comes to me, I try to say that don't get scared of the subject. You try to love and things will fall in. The marks will fall, will come.
Yeah. One more thing I would like to ask you, that as you said, then I don't get scared of the subject, but still it is there, when it comes to physics and all. So any thing you would like to tell the students so they can be comfortable with physics rather than getting scared of it?
So I'll always say they love the subject, look beyond. And I always tell them the stories about the discoveries and others. The physics discoveries, they were not so talented. I sometimes I tell them, if you ask Einstein to write the ATG, he may not be able to solve everything. Right? He may fail. It doesn't mean you are bad. So this is one important thing, that you don't have to be a 100% scorer to be a good physicist or someone, right? So that's very, because your intuition, your gut feeling, those are more important in life, and confidence, and that willingness to do something, to learn, that has to come from within. No teacher can make it. We can understand, we can show you the path, right? But the students has to take the plunge. It's an ocean, right? So they have to
Yes.
take a plunge.
Yeah, definitely. They need to, learn, find more and more ways to learn the subject rather than, being just stuck to that particular
So
syllabus, I
I
feel.
always tell that along with it, read other books, read some about the scientists, how they have done. It makes them the things more interesting actually. Those small, small stories make science learning more fun actually.
Yeah, I think, we should have more and more teachers like you who could teach, who could guide students in going correct direction. Where learning subject is not just about finishing your curriculum and learning your chapters, but it is beyond these things.
So I tell them, it's if you read the novels, the first atom bomb they made, and the story behind it is like a thriller. If you read the story, you will know how it goes.
So, ma'am, I had a wonderful conversation with you, and I feel that in future also, once this exams are over, I would love to connect with you again, so we can discuss more about making physics more interesting for students. As you said that there are so many practical ways to learn and all, and I
Yes,
would love
sure.
to have more conversation on this topics also. And before we end this conversation, what message would you like to give to the students who are appearing for their 12th exam now?
So my message will be cool and eat well, drink well, and day before exam, take a good night's sleep. And I won't ask them to revise slowly the whole day, but nighttime they have to sleep early so that morning they get a fresh that is needed very much, right? And last minute learning actually make you more confused. So don't do it, eat well, and go with a cheerful mind without any tension. What will be, right? So
And as you
that's
mentioned
very,
that there
very
is no
important.
and, before in the beginning of
No
our
and.
conversation, you told me some very nice lines that the result is not just the end of the world here.
Yeah, you can always do something, you can go there. So I always tell the students, it's not like that. Don't be, this was the end if I don't get mark. Yes, only thing is that our system is like that. You won't go to a good college, it doesn't matter, we have a lot of colleges, and if you're good you can go from any colleges, you can achieve your goal.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I'm sure that your words will give so much motivation to the students, and it will be really, really helpful to them. Once again, thank you so much for
Thank
joining
you
us here
Devanshi
today.
also for giving me the opportunity to talk to you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.